My name is Elena Moore. At my mother's funeral in Chicago, my sister laughed and told our relatives I dressed like a servant. She said it out loud. What happened next changed my family, my work, and my name forever. If you've lived through something similar, share your story in the comments. The funeral home on the South Loop schedule ran on 15-minute blocks, and my mother's name was printed neatly between two others. I arrived during the previous family's exit, stepped aside, and waited until the coordinator nodded. There was paperwork to sign, flowers to reposition, chairs to straighten. Hands reached for programs. Someone asked where to place the photo. Tasks filled the gap. Clothes were simple: dark fabric, clean lines. No jewelry, no explanations. The choice saved time. Vanessa noticed anyway. She leaned toward an aunt and let her voice carry. "Doesn't she look like hired help?" A short laugh followed. Practiced, confident. Always dressed like that. A few heads turned. A cousin adjusted his tie and stared at the floor. Another relative offered a thin smile that didn't know where to land. Nobody stepped in. The coordinator cleared her throat and checked the clock. Vanessa kept going. "I work in fashion now," she said, louder, warmer. "You've probably heard of the brand, Aurora. I help with launches." Someone murmured approval. Someone else nodded as if that explained everything. I handed the coordinator the signed page and moved a chair back into line. A sleeve snagged. It was fixed. Programs ran out. More were fetched. A guest asked where to sit. Directions were given. Vanessa's words drifted past like announcements from a distant platform. The service began on time. Readings followed the order. When the last line ended, people stood, shifted, waited for instruction. The coordinator signaled the transition to condolences. The system worked. A man I didn't recognize stepped forward. Mid-40s, plain suit, name badge clipped crooked. He extended his hand and smiled with the relief of someone who had found the right person. "Elena Moore?" "Yes." "David Chen. We met briefly at the Trade Council. I didn't realize you were related. I wanted to say, Aurora's growth this quarter was impressive." Vanessa turned, half smiling, ready to accept credit that hadn't been offered. David kept his hand out. "Founder, right? Congratulations." The room stalled. Not dramatically, more like a pause when a printer runs out of paper and no one wants to be the one to fix it. Someone coughed. A phone vibrated and stopped. Vanessa blinked. "Founder?" Her laugh tried again and failed. "That's funny." David glanced between us, confused. "Oh, I'm sorry. That's what the registry lists." Registries don't argue. They just display. Vanessa looked down at her dress, then back up. "So, you're saying—" The coordinator cleared her throat again, this time louder. The clock ticked. A pen rolled off a table and didn't get picked up. I faced my sister. "So that's my label you're wearing." No flourish, no emphasis, just the sentence. Vanessa opened her mouth. Nothing came out. An aunt reached for her purse and stopped halfway. David checked his badge as if it might explain things. The coordinator tapped her clipboard. "We'll proceed to the exit," she said. "Cars are waiting." Phones started ringing before the flowers were cleared. Not all at once, more like a slow chain reaction. One call led to another, then another, until the pattern settled in. Short pauses, long questions, voices that pretended to check on me while circling something else. An aunt asked how Aurora had been doing lately, stretching the word as if it might confess. A cousin wanted to know when the brand changed hands. Someone else wondered aloud if grief had made people say strange things. Each conversation ended politely with the same unfinished tone. Vanessa answered faster. She always did. It was a misunderstanding, she told them. That guy was confused. Elena exaggerates. She's sensitive right now. The lines overlapped enough to feel rehearsed. By the afternoon, the phrasing came back to me almost intact, passed along by someone who meant well. Workplaces hear things differently. A rumor doesn't need to be proven to be noted. At Vanessa's office, questions arrived wrapped in concern. Managers asked for clarification. Emails stayed unsent a little longer than usual. Meetings shifted. Nothing dramatic, just caution. Aurora reopened the next morning like it always did. Orders printed, fabric arrived late, a machine jammed and got fixed. One seamstress asked if the schedule was changing. It wasn't. A delivery driver complained about parking. The complaint was logged and ignored. The brand didn't react to funerals. Marcus Reed stopped by after lunch, carrying a folder that had seen better days. He didn't offer condolences. He never did unless asked. "You have a minute?" "2," I said. He set the folder on a cutting table and opened it without ceremony. I looked up the registry David mentioned. It lists you as founder and sole owner. That's good. A pause. It also means people will start asking why anyone else thought otherwise. The folder contained copies, incorporation papers, tax filings, a few contracts with sticky notes marking dates. Nothing new, nothing comforting. "Words said at a funeral don't establish ownership," Marcus continued. "Documents do. And documents invite scrutiny." A machine beeped. Someone called my name to approve a shipment. Approval was given. The beep stopped. Vanessa called 3 times that afternoon. Each went to voicemail. The messages stacked. "You need to fix this. People are getting the wrong idea. Just tell them it was a joke." The 4th call came while Marcus was still there. He glanced at the phone and raised an eyebrow. "Family?" "Yes." "Do they know I exist?" "They will." Marcus closed the folder halfway. "If your mother's finances intersected with your sister's at any point, that matters. Not emotionally, legally." A text arrived as if on cue. "Vanessa, please just say you misspoke. We can talk later." Marcus read it over my shoulder and nodded. "That's pressure," he said. "It often looks like affection." The rest of the day unfolded without drama. A supplier emailed to confirm quantities. Another asked about payment terms. A system notification reminded me to update a password. It didn't care why. By evening, the calls shifted tone. An uncle suggested dinner to clear the air. A former neighbor asked if everything was okay with the girls. Even sympathy carried curiosity now. Vanessa tried a different approach. "You embarrassed me," she said when the call finally went through. "That wasn't the plan." "Well, it happened." Silence stretched, filled by traffic noise on her end. "You could have waited," she added. "That wasn't the place." "It wasn't planned," I said. She sighed, heavy enough to travel. "You always do this. Act like things just happen around you." A message chimed in from the bank while she spoke. Monthly summary available. Timing has a sense of humor. "People think I lied," Vanessa said. "Did you?" A pause. "You know what I mean." Marcus took the phone from my hand without asking and put it on speaker. "Vanessa," he said, "this is Marcus Reed. I represent Aurora." Her voice changed shape. "Oh, hi." "We'll need to review your communications with third parties regarding the brand," Marcus continued. "Also, any financial interactions involving your mother's accounts." "That's unnecessary," she said quickly. "Usually," he replied, "until it isn't." The call ended shortly after, without resolution. Phones do that. They hang up and leave the rest to paper. Marcus gathered his folder. "I recommend a full review," he said. "Not because you're wrong, because being right invites paperwork." The shop settled into its end-of-day rhythm. Lights shut off in sections. Tools were cleaned and stored. Someone left a coffee cup behind and came back for it. Agreement came easily, without ceremony. "Go ahead," I said. Marcus spread the statements across the table like playing cards that refused to form a hand. Dates circled, amounts underlined. The pattern didn't jump out until he turned one page sideways and aligned 2 columns. "See that?" he said. A deposit repeated every quarter, steady as rent. The account belonged to my mother. The memo line didn't mention Aurora. It didn't mention anything useful. "That's a benefits transfer," Marcus said. "Disability assistance. And those?" He tapped another line. Royalty distributions, not yours. Vanessa's name appeared where mine should have been. Not everywhere, just enough to matter. A call came in from my uncle before Marcus finished explaining. He didn't ask how I was doing. He asked why I was pulling records. "You don't need to dig," he said. "I didn't," I said. "They surfaced." Another relative followed with a different angle. "Your sister took care of your mom," she said. "This feels unnecessary." Care and control sound similar when paperwork is thin. Vanessa didn't wait for family to settle. Emails went out to Aurora's partners with friendly subject lines and familiar sign-offs. She positioned herself as creative lead, looped herself into threads that weren't hers, suggested timelines and edits. One message ended with, "As discussed," despite no discussion ever happening. A supplier forwarded one to me with a short note. "Just confirming, is this correct?" Marcus read it and nodded once. "That's representation," he said. "Unauthorized." A response went out within the hour. Polite, narrow, a legal header that didn't threaten but didn't smile either. The words "pending verification" do a lot of work. Family group chats grew louder. Screenshots circulated without context. Someone accused me of rewriting history. Someone else said the truth shouldn't fear daylight. The split settled quickly and stayed put. Vanessa called that night, voice sharper than before. "You sent a lawyer email," she said. "I sent clarification. You're trying to ruin me." "I'm trying to stop you." She laughed, brittle. "Over what? A few emails?" A notification chimed from my laptop while she spoke. A partner confirming receipt. Another asking for a call. Timing again. Marcus took notes, not on what she said, but on when. He tracked cadence the way other people track tone. "You don't have proof," Vanessa continued. "Not yet." "Then back off." A short silence followed, filled by traffic and her breathing. She lowered her voice. "Mom wanted me to have help," she said. "She said so." Marcus leaned toward the phone. "Did she put it in writing?" "That's private." "Then it's irrelevant." The call ended without goodbye. By morning, a cease and desist draft sat in my inbox, unfinished. Marcus suggested restraint. He also suggested speed. "If she keeps presenting herself as Aurora," he said, "you risk dilution. The law doesn't wait for feelings to catch up." The next step carried weight. An audit request isn't an accusation, it's a flashlight. People who have nothing to hide still flinch. Family reacted before it went out. An aunt texted a single sentence, "You're tearing us apart." The system reacted differently. A bank portal flagged an account for review. A benefits office sent an automated message thanking us for our patience. The message included a survey link. "Do they always ask for feedback?" I asked. Marcus smiled thinly. "They do. It doesn't change anything." Vanessa tried one last push. She emailed a partner and CC'd me by mistake, or by design. "As the creative representative," she wrote, "I recommend pausing until this is resolved." And the partner replied, "All. Understood. We'll wait for confirmation from ownership." Ownership is a blunt word. It closes doors quietly. Marcus printed the audit request and slid it across the table. The form listed names, dates, and a box to check for scope. Full review, no carve-outs. "This escalates," he said. "Once filed, there's no soft exit." A delivery arrived while the pen waited. Fabric rolls unloaded. A driver asked for a signature. It was given. The rolls were stacked where they belonged. Back at the table, the pen felt heavier than it should have. Not dramatic, just heavier. "Last chance to reconsider," Marcus said. The phone buzzed with another family message I didn't open. A calendar reminder popped up for payroll. The box was checked. The signature followed, steady enough. Paper accepted the ink without comment. Marcus gathered the pages and stood. "I'll submit this today." The preliminary report arrived as a compressed file with a neutral name. No subject line drama, just numbers that refused to resolve themselves. Marcus walked me through it standing up, coat still on, finger moving without hesitation. Funds were diverted, he said. Some can be traced, some can't. Recovery won't be immediate. Not impossible, just slow. Systems prefer patience. Vanessa's suspension followed before noon. A short notice circulated through her industry contacts, careful with language, generous with uncertainty. Pending review, role clarification. The kind of phrasing that freezes calendars without accusing anyone of lying. Family gatherings didn't freeze, they hardened. An invitation came for Sunday dinner, then another text revising the plan to adults only, then a final message saying it might be best to let things cool. Cooling turned out to mean absence. Chairs filled without me, plates cleared on schedule. When a call came through during one of those dinners, the tone was already decided. "You didn't have to push this far," an aunt said. "I didn't push," I said. "I filed." "You're tearing the family apart." The records did that. Silence followed, then a change of subject that didn't land. The law sent its own messages, automated, courteous. A request for supplemental documentation arrived with a deadline and a checklist. The email thanked us for cooperation and reminded us not to reply directly. At the bottom, a link asked how satisfied we were with the process so far. Aurora felt the drag almost immediately. Partners paused orders, not out of fear, but prudence. A retailer postponed a launch window and suggested a mutual reset. Another asked to wait until things were clear. Clear is expensive. A media inquiry landed in the general inbox and sat unanswered. The draft response stayed open for days and then closed without saving. Plans for a small expansion were shelved. A hiring decision went back to later. Production didn't stop, it narrowed. Fewer runs, tighter margins. The machines didn't care why. Vanessa sent a message through a cousin, then another through a friend. Both asked for a call. Neither mentioned money. Both mentioned embarrassment. At a family meeting held without me, someone suggested mediation. Someone else suggested prayer. No one suggested paperwork. Another system email arrived midweek. This one confirmed receipt of additional documents and warned of processing delays. The tone remained polite, almost cheerful. Due to high volume, response times may be extended. Marcus forwarded it with a single line. "They're swamped. That's normal." Normal didn't feel comforting. It felt procedural. Payroll ran, rent cleared. A supplier offered revised terms until this is resolved. Acceptance went out with a thank you. The thank you didn't explain anything. Vanessa finally called directly. "They suspended me," she said. "Yes. You could stop this." "I can't." "You won't." Her voice softened, then sharpened. "You're enjoying this." A notification chimed while she spoke. Another request from the estate office. Another form. Another signature line. "This isn't about enjoyment," I said. "Then what is it?" "Limits," she laughed, short and incredulous. "You always talk like a contract." Marcus took the call on speaker again, uninvited but expected. "Vanessa," he said, "your suspension is temporary. What happens next depends on documentation." "I gave everything," she replied. "Not everything," he said. "Enough to delay." The call ended with no agreement. The line dropped. Phones do that. By Friday, the audit summary circulated among counsel. Early conclusions. No recovery timeline. A note flagged potential conflicts tied to the estate. Marcus didn't sugar it. "The money won't come back quickly," he said. "Some may not come back at all." A delivery arrived late and got logged late. A seamstress asked about overtime. The answer changed from maybe to no. She nodded and kept working. Another email from the legal portal arrived after hours. Subject: Estate Review Update. Body: Formal. Attachments: Pending. It stated that the estate file would move to formal consideration. Prior arrangements would be reassessed. Any informal agreements would no longer apply. At the end, a reminder: do not contact other parties directly. Marcus called right after. "They're opening it," he said. "Once that happens, nothing old survives." "What about timelines?" out of our hands. A truck backed up to the loading area. The driver asked for a signature. The clipboard passed over. The pen worked. Marcus waited until the driver left. "This changes leverage," he said, "for everyone." A message from a partner arrived asking for confirmation on next month's production. A calendar alert pinged for a meeting I hadn't canceled yet. "Send the update," Marcus added. "Keep moving." The conference room required government-issued ID at the front desk. Names were checked, badges printed, voices lowered by habit rather than rule. Vanessa arrived 10 minutes late and took the seat across from me without looking over. Her attorney slid a folder forward as if it were a peace offering. "Let's keep this efficient," he said. "Everyone here wants the same thing." Marcus adjusted his chair. "Accuracy," he said. The clerk read the case number, then the scope. Estate review, ownership clarification, potential conflicts of interest. Each phrase landed with the same weight, indifferent to family trees. Vanessa leaned back and crossed her arms. "I took care of our mother," she said, not waiting for a question, "for years, while Elena built her little company." Little was doing a lot of work. She couldn't have done that without support, Vanessa continued. Someone had to handle things at home. Marcus didn't interrupt. He let the claim sit where it was. A bank statement appeared on the screen, dates highlighted, transfers aligned. The clerk asked for confirmation. Vanessa nodded when it favored her, frowned when it didn't. "That account was shared," her attorney said. "It wasn't," Marcus replied. "Authorization was limited." The conversation shifted from tone to terms. Numbers replaced narratives. Each clarification shaved away a story someone wanted to tell. Pressure stacked quickly. Aurora's delayed launches, suspended contracts, a family that no longer spoke directly. Vanessa's attorney slid another document forward. "We propose mediation," he said. "A private resolution. No admissions. We keep this out of the record." Vanessa leaned in then. "We can fix this," she said. "For Mom, for everyone." A pause followed, the kind that invites reconsideration. Marcus looked at me. "This is optional," he said. "Risk increases without it." The pen hovered. Not dramatic, just indecisive. Edits were requested. A date corrected. A line clarified. Another document added to the stack. Each adjustment slowed things down, bought time, cost leverage. Vanessa watched, tapping her nails once, then stopping. "You're dragging this out," she said. "I'm making it accurate," I said. Her attorney tried again. "Think about the exposure," he said. "Public filings invite interpretation." A notification pinged on my phone, an automated reminder from the legal portal to upload missing attachments by end of day. The system didn't care what we decided. It just tracked compliance. Vanessa's voice softened. "I did what I had to," she said. "You didn't want the responsibility." Marcus spoke before I could. She wanted the outcome without the authority. Vanessa's eyes flashed. "You always hide behind paperwork." "Paperwork doesn't hide. It records." Another statement came up, this one showing royalties routed through a temporary account. The clerk asked for explanation. Vanessa's attorney requested a break. In the hallway, Vanessa stepped closer. "You're really going to do this?" she said. "This is already happening. You could stop it." A text buzzed from a supplier asking whether next quarter's order was still on. The message waited. Back in the room, the mediation offer returned, revised, a tighter clause, a faster exit. The cost was silence. Marcus leaned over. "If you accept, the matter closes quietly," he said. "If not, everything opens." Vanessa nodded toward me, hopeful now. "Just say yes," she said. "We'll move on." Moving on sounded efficient. It also sounded like repetition. The pen rested on the table again. The clerk watched the clock. The system notification buzzed a second time, reminding me of the upload deadline. "No," I said. Vanessa's breath caught, sharp and quick. "You're choosing this," she said. "I'm choosing clarity." Her attorney closed his folder. "Then we proceed formally." The clerk noted the response and updated the record. A timestamp appeared. The system accepted it, without comment. Chairs shifted, papers gathered. The meeting ended the way it began, procedurally. Outside, Marcus handed me a copy of the filing receipt. Once submitted, there's no rollback, he said. The supplemental file arrived through the estate portal without ceremony. A reference number, a timestamp, an attachment labeled Addendum. Marcus forwarded it with no commentary, which meant it mattered. We reviewed it at a standing table because sitting felt unnecessary. The addendum was short, typed, witnessed. It attached to my mother's will like a footnote that refused to stay small. Here, Marcus said, tapping a paragraph, source of funds. The language didn't drift. It named accounts, dates, transfers that matched my records. It stated that Aurora was established using my personal capital, not family money, not shared assets, not advances. The phrasing was careful enough to survive cross-examination. Another page followed. And this, Marcus said. Signatures appeared where they shouldn't have. My mother's name replicated with small inconsistencies. Vanessa's handwriting on forms that required authorization. The dates overlapped with hospital visits. The margins told their own story. That's a problem, Marcus said. The clerk joined the call and read the notice into the record. No raised voice, no commentary. The system did the talking. Vanessa joined late again. Her attorney spoke first. We haven't seen this document, he said. It was lodged with the court, Marcus replied. You have access now. Vanessa scrolled, jaw tight. This isn't real, she said. It's filed, the clerk said. That makes it real enough to consider. The addendum didn't accuse. It clarified. Clarification can be more dangerous. Questions followed in sequence. Who prepared it? Who witnessed it? Why it wasn't disclosed earlier? Each answer referenced a form, a date, a receipt. The system accepted them one by one. Vanessa's attorney asked for time. The clerk granted 15 minutes and muted the line. While we waited, a notification popped up requesting confirmation of a mailing address. The portal suggested an update to contact preferences. It offered help. When the line reopened, Vanessa's voice sounded flatter. This doesn't prove intent, her attorney said. It establishes authority, Marcus said, and absence of it. The clerk nodded and entered notes. Another status change appeared on the docket. The tone remained polite. Vanessa tried a different angle. You knew Mom wanted balance, she said, looking past the camera. She said it out loud. Marcus responded without raising his eyes. Then it would be written. The clerk asked for confirmation to forward the file to civil review. The request was procedural, framed as a next step, not a threat. Vanessa objected. We need to discuss this privately. That window closed, the clerk said. A notice generated automatically. It thanked all parties for cooperation and advised of potential referral based on discrepancies identified. It included a case ID and an estimated timeline. The addendum worked quietly, the way effective things do. Another document required a signature, mine, acknowledgement of receipt, consent to proceed. The pen hovered, then moved. Ink met paper without commentary. Vanessa's attorney requested a recess. Denied. The clerk cited scheduling constraints. The words civil investigation appeared on the screen, unadorned. No sirens, no judgment, just a label. Vanessa spoke again, this time slower. You're really letting them do this. Marcus answered before I could. The system doesn't ask permission. A message came through from the estate office confirming the addendum's inclusion. It invited us to review the updated inventory. A link followed. Anything else? The clerk asked. Marcus shook his head. Proceed. The session ended. No closing statements. The portal logged everyone out and sent satisfaction surveys. Vanessa didn't call after. A notice did. It arrived by certified mail and digital copy, stamped and plain. It outlined potential liability and requested documentation within a set period. The language avoided drama and promised follow-up. Marcus summarized it in one sentence. They'll ask questions. Work continued. A batch finished ahead of schedule. A supplier confirmed shipment. An invoice cleared after a brief hold. Another email arrived from the portal, acknowledging receipt of the signed acknowledgement. It thanked me again and offered assistance if needed. By evening, a text came from a cousin asking if I was okay. It didn't mention the document. It didn't need to. A final notification arrived as I approved a purchase order. Subject line, Notice of Review Initiation. Body, formal. Attachments, included. Vanessa was copied. The disclosure went out on a Tuesday, time to land before lunch on both coasts. Marcus drafted it. I approved the language and cut anything that sounded like defense. It listed ownership, governance, and contact points. No adjectives, no backstory. A footnote referenced filings for anyone who wanted more. Partners replied in batches, some with relief, some with nothing at all. Silence counted as acceptance. A trade outlet asked for confirmation. The answer was a single line and a link to public records. Another editor requested comment on family dynamics. The request went unanswered. They published anyway, using the documents instead of quotes. Contracts moved faster than people. Vanessa's consulting agreement ended with a notice that thanked her for contributions and wished her well. The phrasing avoided blame and removed access. Invitations evaporated. Calendars updated themselves. Family threads slowed. A cousin typed, erased, then sent a heart emoji. An uncle forwarded a news link without commentary. The group chat stopped reacting once there was nothing left to argue. Marcus coordinated the last separations like a traffic controller. Accounts untangled, authorizations revoked, a hold lifted here, a lien clarified there. He narrated steps without emotion. Once this clears, he said, there's no residual exposure. A system email confirmed a change of authorized signers. Another acknowledged receipt of a termination notice. Each message thanked us for cooperation. One asked for feedback. Production resumed its wider rhythm. A retailer reinstated an order with revised dates. A supplier restored credit terms. A freelance pattern maker sent availability for next month. Decisions returned to the ordinary. Vanessa called once and left no message. A second call followed from an unknown number. It went to voicemail. The transcript arrived later, stripped of tone. You didn't have to go public, she said. They didn't need everything. They didn't get everything. They got enough. A partner forwarded a cancellation email meant for Vanessa. It read like a form letter and carried a deadline for returning materials. The attachment included a checklist. Marcus skimmed it and nodded. That's clean, he said. A final call came from the estate office to confirm addresses. The clerk read the script and paused for acknowledgement. No one mentioned names. The case number did the work. By midweek, Aurora's site updated its About page. A simple line replaced a paragraph. The revision history logged the change and moved on. Another trade outlet asked for a profile. The request was declined. They published a brief anyway, citing filings and shipment volumes. Facts filled space better than opinions. Vanessa's name disappeared from bios and credits. Not all at once. It faded the way access does when credentials expire. Family gatherings continued without me and then without her. Chairs filled, plates passed. No one asked for updates. Marcus sent the final packet late Friday. It contained confirmations, releases, and a short memo summarizing the separation. This closes it, he wrote. The signature page waited. A pen rested nearby, practical and forgettable. The phone buzzed with a reminder to approve payroll. Approval went out first. The document followed. Ink met paper. The portal accepted the upload and generated a receipt. The receipt included a timestamp and a friendly note. Your submission has been received. A supplier confirmed delivery for Monday. A customer service ticket closed automatically after resolution. The system hummed along, unimpressed. An email arrived from a conference organizer inviting Aurora to participate in a panel on governance. The invitation named me directly. The reply accepted with conditions. Vanessa didn't appear again that week. Notices did. One confirmed termination, another acknowledged transfer of responsibility. Each carried the same neutral tone. At the end of the day, a survey link arrived asking how satisfied I was with the process. The options range from very satisfied to not at all. The link stayed unopened. Marcus called once more before signing off for the weekend. Anything else you need? No. Then you're clear. The shop lights shut down in sections. A last message confirmed the next shipment window. The signed document sat archived where it belonged, and the work continued without anyone asking who used to speak for whom. The notice arrived on a Monday, stamped and formatted the same way as the others. It listed amounts, deadlines, and instructions for repayment. Vanessa's name appeared once at the top and again at the signature line. Between them, the language stayed calm. Marcus summarized it over the phone. Restitution is ordered. The file is closed, pending compliance. And the record? Archived, accessible, permanent. Permanent didn't sound dramatic. It sounded administrative. No call came from Vanessa. None was expected. Communication, if necessary, would move through counsel. Addresses updated, access removed. The system prefers clean lanes. A final email followed from the civil office, thanking all parties and confirming receipt of payment arrangements. It included a reference number and a note advising us to retain records for 7 years. At the bottom, a line asked whether we needed further assistance. Work continued without ceremony. Aurora's calendar filled back in. Orders shipped. Invoices cleared. A retailer sent revised projections and apologized for the delay, as if weather had caused it. Nothing changed in the way days were structured. Meetings stayed on schedule. Decisions landed where they always had. The brand didn't need a victory lap. A move happened quietly. Boxes packed over a few evenings, keys exchanged. The new place sat closer to transit and farther from old routes. Mail forwarded. Utilities transferred. The address book updated itself over time. Neighbors nodded without questions. That was enough. Mentoring started on Thursdays at a community space that hosted too many programs to track. No titles, no press, just a sign-up sheet and a whiteboard with time slots. A woman asked how to negotiate a supplier contract. Another wanted advice on hiring without burning cash. Answers stayed practical. Get it in writing. Separate accounts. Assume delays. Someone laughed when the projector froze. It rebooted and worked again. Systems respond when prompted. Vanessa's name came up once, indirectly, when a participant mentioned a designer who had disappeared. No correction followed. The room moved on. An automated reminder arrived from the estate office confirming final closure. The message thanked us again and provided a download link to the archived file. The link worked. Marcus sent a brief follow-up. You're clear. Good. Enjoy the weekend. There was nothing to enjoy or endure more than usual. Groceries picked up, a missed train caught later, a receipt tucked into a pocket and forgotten. One afternoon, a trade outlet emailed asking for comment on a case study about governance failures. The request was declined. They published without it. Aurora's next shipment arrived on time. A supplier included a handwritten note apologizing for earlier hesitation. It stayed on the desk until recycling. Family messages slowed to logistics, birthdays, addresses. A wedding invitation arrived with neutral phrasing and no expectations. RSVP sent, no follow-up. A survey link from a legal portal expired unopened. The reminder stopped coming. After work one evening, a familiar route led past a place that sold decent sandwiches and terrible coffee. The line moved fast. An order placed, payment processed. The receipt printed and tore cleanly. Have a good night, the cashier said. You too. The door opened. People passed in both directions, busy with their own lists. A phone buzzed with a calendar alert for the next morning's meeting. Nothing followed that needed explaining. The workday had ended. Another would begin. The systems that mattered were running, and there was no reason to speak for anyone but myself anymore.